You are now listening to Handsome Reads. Hey, friends, and welcome back to another episode of Handsome Reads, a space in which I have the esteemed pleasure to play narrator and guide through various creations of literary works. If you are indeed new to this creative space, I invite you to pull up and get comfortable, as we always have room for an additional guest. Today's episode, we will be conducting a small meet and greet as I share a little history behind the creation of Army of Sin, as well as provide you with a mid-season recap of the road thus far. There is actually no better place to start than the conception of this series. So that being said, kick back, relax, as always, pour yourself that glass of wine or water, juice, have yourself a shot of tequila. Now, it's not going to be a wild ride, but depending on the day you would have had, a shot of tequila may be necessary. I have been a creative writer and a poet since roughly 14 years old. While writing poetry at the time was mostly a form of self therapy, I realized that those pieces I published were able to resonate with readers in a particular way, and they always encouraged me to publish a compilation or a book of poems. A couple of years ago, actually more than a couple, my brother Justin, shout out to Justin, miss you, bro. No, he's not dead. It's been more than a decade since the last time I saw him. He and I were just chopping it up, and I threw out the idea of maybe, writing a trilogy. And his simple response was, do it. Thus, the author side of me was truly unlocked. Now, this is actually not my first literary piece of work. Nope. My first project is actually a trilogy entitled. Actually, I can't tell you the name of the trilogy just yet, as it is not complete. At the end of the day, the last thing I want is for someone else to borrow my idea. So I asked myself the question before starting or completing the trilogy: how are you ever going to convince the world? Now, mind you, J.K. Rowling is my muse, and the goal is actually to produce a work of art capable of also setting the world ablaze. So, the question: how are you even going to convince people to buy this trilogy of yours? Nobody knows who you are. Not to mention, you come from a small twin island republic in the Caribbean. Thus came the idea to create Army of Sin, a series centered around fallen angels, and human beings, but told from a different perspective. This series was designed with busy individuals in mind. Those of us that lead busy lives that does not allow sitting with a book and losing ourselves for hours. Instead, I crafted an experience that can be enjoyed weekly, requiring only an average of between 10 to 15 minutes to enjoy. Unless, of course, you decided that you needed to have a particular episode on repeat. No judgment here. But who knew that this would turn into such a beautiful experience of love, self therapy, and a literary piece of art that I am proud to call my own? I certainly didn't. So, friends, there you have it. I hope that this provides you with a little bit more context as to why Army of Sin was created. That being said, let us shift our focus to the first half of season 1, titled The Martin Brothers. Looking back at it, we were introduced to Henri de Noma, an exile, fallen angel, currently attempting to carry out a secret mission. If you haven't already figured it out by now, Henri is in fact the man in the chocolate shoes that was mentioned in the prologue. Then came the Martin brothers, Liam and Rand, two young men that hailed from Trinidad and Tobago that were once members of a musical group, of which Rand was never a singer. Rand was all about security and safety of the group. It was Liam, and you guessed it, Kaya, the woman that lives rent-free in the mind of Rand. So they have returned to Trinidad from a recent successful tour, and Rand finds himself in need of answers. However, at the same time, they received a summons from the woman. Not to worry, we'll all meet the woman soon. The series pivots between scenes of the brothers and back to Mr. de Noma, as the latter actually finds himself captured and needing to fight off 5 members of an angelic hunting party. Having been cut off from his kin, however, he is already in a weakened state. As luck would have it, though, the hunting party was not the only people that were aware of his movements. So an old but powerful ally, Crocell, was able to come to his aid. So due to so many angelic energies in one place, however, that made it way too easy for the Archangel Gabriel to pinpoint his location and find him. And then, when the Archangel Gabriel arrived, she charged him with the duty of standing witness to the first heavenly virtue born in over 2 decades. Mind you, Henri is supposed to be on a secret mission. The last episode we would have covered, titled Conversations Between Immortals, would have seen Mr. de Noma coerced into giving a fragment of his essence, along with Gabriel, to a newborn baby. But we'll hear more about her later on as the story progresses. So there, all caught up? Ready for more? If yes, then be sure to tune in for the next episode titled Lie to Me, as the season shifts back towards the Martin brothers. So until next time, continue to take good care of yourself, and as always, love and light.